Hello, everybody. It is Kelly Ballard, the Abundance Business Coach, and today is January 1st, 2022. Welcome to 2022. Some of us may have thought we wouldn't make it through 2020 and then 2021. It was a rough year for many and a good year for some, but I want to take just a few minutes today and reflect a little bit on 2021 and then share a little bit about what I'm looking forward to and hoping for in 2022. So as I look back on 2021, one of the first things that was majorly significant in my life in that year was a snowstorm that went through Southern Illinois, where I was living at the time, and left a lot of snow on the ground, more snow than we were used to having in that part of the country. And it made getting in and out of our driveway impossible. Resulted in my car getting stuck in the driveway and needing to get pulled out by a friendly neighbor. During the same period of time, during the same week, in fact, my middle son, Gabriel, was leaving for BMT, basic military training. And as a result of the storm, I wasn't able to take him to leave on this journey as we had planned. I needed a friend with four-wheel drive to come and get him and take him to start his journey. And that was difficult and interesting, kind of all in the same place. Created a lot of really interesting emotions to face and deal with and process. And, kind of in that, I want to talk a little bit about my two middle children. I have 6 children, all of which I love dearly and equally. And my relationship with each of them is very different. But I remember distinctly 2 different experiences, both years and years apart. But they both involved my middle children, my middle son and my middle daughter, leaving home for the first time. And when my middle daughter, Elizabeth, left home to go to college, she went to U of I. I remember walking, we took her up there, got her settled in her dorm, came home. And even though there were other children still at home, the house felt empty and cold. And that night, that first night she was gone, I spent laying on the floor in the family room where she and her friends had spent many, many hours studying, playing Just Dance on the Wii, eating pizza, laughing. But that night that she was gone, and it was her first night, not first night away from home, but it was her first night having moved out and not coming home. I just laid on the floor and sobbed. I just cried. I just missed her so much. And when Gabriel left for BMT, I did the same thing. I laid on the floor in what had been his bedroom and just cried with such a mixture of feelings. So there was purpose and pride in my children and fear and sorrow. So that was an interesting experience. That was February of 2021. And it was, looking back now, it's interesting to me that experience was so similar for when both of those children left. Or not children, I'm sorry, they were young adults starting their journey. So that was really the first major significant thing that happened in 2021. The next was I sold my home. And I really, when I bought that house, I believed it would be my forever home. And I sold it and felt tremendous loss in selling that home. Moving into a new house, not only in a new house, but in a new state. And the house that I moved into was in no way move-in ready. It would be 16 weeks before I would have a kitchen in that new house. There were literally holes in the ceiling and holes in the floor in that house. I set up my little living space in one of the bedrooms in the back of the house and carefully planned and crawled into maybe an unknown yet beautiful future. So that was the first part of April. The second part of April, my divorce was finalized. And during that time, I really spent a lot of days working on the house, which left me in tremendous physical pain sometimes. I discovered muscles and places in my body that hurt that I didn't know I had during those times. Learning to do new things. There were things that the house needed to have done that I had not done before. I'd watched, but I hadn't done myself, but I learned how to do them. And there was also a lot of emotional pain in that time. I realized during those days that I had spent the previous 10 years trying to fit into, and sometimes even forcing myself to try to fit into a mold and a place that was not for me. Kind of like if any of you remember the old Sesame Street skit that which one of these shapes doesn't belong. That's how I'd felt for 10 years. And trying to fit and trying to belong in a place that wasn't for me. Now, let me say quickly that if I was going to put judgment on it, it's not a bad place or a bad mold. It just was not my place and not my people. So I started looking at how I would find and create and connect with people that were genuinely for me and wanted good for me. As the year progressed on, I worked at reclaiming and rebuilding my business. One of the things that I did that was a little scary for me was I made a trip to Fort Worth, Texas, and spent 4 days in Fort Worth at a conference that was for accountants and bookkeepers. Met many fabulous people there. There were so many mic drop moments during that powerful 3 days of scaling new heights. I was so incredibly grateful, and literally know that the things that I learned in that 3 days will change my life and my business forever. So I came home and went to work on trying to implement those things. And shortly after I got home from Fort Worth, my middle son, Gabriel, called and said, "Hey, Mom, I'm not working on Christmas or Christmas Eve. Can you come and spend Christmas with me?" Well, for any of you who have children, you know that when one of your kids calls and says, "Hey, I want you to come and spend Christmas," you go. There's just no second thoughts about it. So I made my airline reservations and I was able to fly into Minot, North Dakota on a very little itty bitty plane right before a snowstorm came in. and I was able to fly out of Minot, North Dakota on a little bigger plane. Right after that snowstorm moved out. The snowstorm, I think, left around 10 inches of snow on the ground, which meant Gabriel and I spent the majority of our time at the Airbnb I rented. And we just spent a lot of time hanging out and doing not much. Gabriel made Christmas dinner, which was fabulous. We watched all 9 Star Wars movies. I think it would be fairly safe to say that we spent close to 3 days inside watching movies and watching the snowfall. We laughed and enjoyed being together. And it was wonderful to just enjoy the peace of being with somebody that was easy to be with. There was no drama, there was no expectations, there was just love and harmony. And I was so grateful for that in that time with him. So that was really kind of the wrap up of 2021 for me. I did fly home on the 29th, right before the end of the year, and have spent some time with precious close friends here last night, and I'm looking forward to more time with my friends in the coming year. Each year for the last several years, I have picked a word that I was going to focus on for the coming year. And last year, my word was kindness. I wanted to focus on being kind. And when I bought my new truck, which was my birthday present to myself in September, I had "be kind" put on the back window because I thought, what is important enough to me that I want everyone who sees me driving down the road to see? And "be kind" was what was really resonating with me. So this year, my word is going to be connection and connections. And I'm going to focus on all of my connections and developing healthy connections with food, with friends, with family, with money, with clients. Each of these pieces of my life, I want to have healthy connections with. And I want to develop new connections with new friends that are healthy relationships, not only for me, but for them as well. So that is going to be my focus. And in this coming year, I have been working on a book, and I will continue to work on the book, and I hope to have it published this year. And I'm going to continue working on, as I'm finishing that project, I'm going to work on building this group of friends and connections and helping people realize that what is in our way personally gets in the way of us professionally. And my book is "What blocks me blocks my business. What blocks you blocks your business." The things that you may or may not be aware of that are blocks in your life, whether it's unresolved trauma, assumptions that you make, ways that you interpret things that are maybe not completely accurate. Those are things that get in our way. Maybe they're messages that you've picked up from your parents or grandparents, and they're still rehearsing themselves in your mind. Those things can and do affect your life today, and they affect the way you come and show up in your business. One of the things is I have worked with business owners throughout my career. I have always encouraged them in accounting to not commingle funds, to keep their personal money separate from their business money. And one of the major things that I realized in 2021 is that works in business. And I will still climb on that hobby horse and talk about that from time to time. But it doesn't work personally for who we are, because the things that have made me who I am have also made my business what it is. And I can't separate that like I can my finances and my business from my personal and business finances. So I'm going to be talking a lot about what blocks you, blocks your business. And that's why I'm making this video, and I will be putting it on my group page and inviting anyone who really wants to see their business grow and see their mindset shift from a limited mindset where you're looking at yourself today through the vision of your past. Let's go on this journey together and find out what happens when those blocks are moved away. Not an overnight process and not a easy process, but it's worth it, I promise. So this is an invitation as I wrap up my review of 2021 and invite you to come with me on a journey of discovering what life looks like without those blocks, and discover what an abundance mindset looks like, and how you can become and discover all the wonderful things that you're intended to be. So that's it. That's all I got. Happy New Year. Welcome again to 2022. Let's do this.